Hello friends, welcome to La Excellence IAS. I hope all of you have done well with your prelims. So in this session, we will be discussing in detail of UPSC question paper questions from 51 to 100. So before starting today's session, there is a small announcement. La Excellence IAS is launching its free Super 50 mentorship program exclusively by Dr. Rambabu sir. That will be at Mains Gurukul Gayatri Residential Campus, Hyderabad. You can avail free scholarship and you can by writing a scholarship test on 8th October 2020 at 11 am. You can contact any of the given numbers below Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ashok Nagar, Hyderabad, Madhapur and Hyderabad Gayatri campus to avail more information. So let us start today's analysis. So in detail, if you look out, the UPSC 2020 General Studies paper 1 consisted of polity around 18 questions, economy around 17 questions, geography around 14, environment 15, modern history 9, ancient history 6, medieval history 1, art and culture 3, science and technology 14, international relations 2, international agreements 1. So this is a brief background or breakup of the questions what you have got in yesterday's question paper. Question number 51 is with reference to carbon nanotubes. So first thing, this is a futuristic technology. We need to understand that, and whenever the question comes with respect to futuristic technology, we need to be very careful while analyzing the statements. So statement 1 says they can be used as carrier of drugs and antigens in the human body. Yes, they can be taken down. They can be made into an artificial blood capillary for injured part of human body. Yes, this can also happen. They can be used as biochemical sensors. True. Carbon nanotubes are biodegradable. Yes, there are few skepticisms, but still, since it's a futuristic technology, they can be made into a biodegradable carbon nanotubes. So carbon nanotubes are promising drug delivery and platforms which can be functionalized with a variety of biomolecules such as antibodies and proteins. So all the four statements being right, the correct answer is option D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Question number 2, it is with respect to technology that is related to drones. So three statements are given and which we need to find out which of the following statements are correct. So first statement, spraying pesticides on crop field to surmount the shortage of farm labor and rising labor charges, some progressive farmers are trying to harness drone technology for spraying pesticides. So statement 1 is right. Inspecting the craters of active volcanoes. Drones can monitor explosive volcanoes. Research craters novel 3D models with centimeter resolution of volcano in Guatemala has been found. So statement 2 is also right. Statement 3 says collecting breath samples from spouting whales for DNA analysis. This statement has been the point of contention among many aspirants. So here let us see. Scientists flew a small drone over a blowhole of few humpback whales in the US and Canada to collect the microbes living inside their breath, sampling the community of microbes and bacteria living inside whales called microbiome, which can help us better understand what makes a healthy whale and what happens when a whale gets sick. So on statement 3 is also right. So based on this info, we can say the correct answer is option D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Next question, the experiment will employ a trio spacecraft flying in the formation in shape of an equilateral triangle that has sides with 1 kilometer long with laser shining between the aircrafts. The experiment in question refers to, the statement was provided in order to understand with respect to what experiment the given options are right. So here we need to understand, if you go by elimination method also, Voyager 2 and New Horizons were the space missions. So automatically option A and B are neglected out. So next we will stand at LISA Pathfinder and Evolved LISA. There had few confusions also among the students. So Evolved Laser Interferometer Space Antenna is planned that uses 3 separate but not dependent interferometers installed in 3 spacecrafts located at the corners of triangle with sides of some 5 million kilometers. A mission to test the technology for ELISA, that is LISA Pathfinder, which was launched in 2015. So here the correct answer is option C, LISA Pathfinder. As ambiguities are there with respect to Evolved LISA also. So this program is going to be taken care in 2034. It has not been launched. So there are few chances UPSC will take this question. So LISA Pathfinder is the right answer, which has taken down in 2015. Next question is again a futuristic technology question, which is genetic changes. So genetic changes can be introduced in cells that produce eggs and sperms of prospective parent. Yes, this is right, because genetically modified sperm or egg is that undergo undergone genetic modification for biomedical purposes, including elimination of genetic disease or infertility. So statement 1 is right. Person's genome can be edited before birth at the early embryonic stage. Gene editing tool, as we all know, CRISPR Cas9 to modify human embryos. So statement 2 is also right. Human induced pluripotent cells can be injected into embryos of pig. A Japanese stem cell scientist is the first to receive government support to create animal embryos that contain human cells and transplant them into surrogate animals, since a ban on the practice was overturned earlier this year. So statement 3 is also right. So taking consideration into all the statements, the correct answer is option D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Next question is with respect to what is the importance of using pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. So if you have very clearly read current affairs, in this year there were 3 vaccines which were introduced in our Indradhanush program. So one of the vaccine was pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. So pneumococcal conjugate vaccine is also called as PCV13, and this has been used against pneumococcal infections, the bacteria that causes these infections spread through person to person contact. They can lead to serious infections like pneumonia, blood infection and bacterial meningitis. So based on this information, the first statement is right. These vaccines are effective against pneumonia, true. Dependence on antibiotics that are not effective against drug resistant bacteria can be reduced. So dependence on antibiotics which are not effective against pneumonia related or meningitis or sepsis related diseases can lead to drug resistant bacteria. Yes, this is also right. These vaccines have no side effects and causes no allergic reaction. Anyone who has or had a life threatening allergic reaction to any of the following should not get PCA dose. So this is not given to any of those who have side effects or allergic reactions. So statement 3 is also right. And however, if generally if we are taking down, suppose a government of India which is taking down some vaccine into Indradhanush program which has side effects and allergic reactions, will definitely never take into a national immunization program. So statement 3 cannot be wrong at all. So if you go by elimination method also, A, B, C are eliminated because there is no third statement. Correct answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Question: in India, the term public key infrastructure is used in the context of what? So here we need to understand Reserve Bank of India has been promoting public key infrastructure based model of transactions. In fact, recently Technical Committee on Enabling Public Key Infrastructure in Payment Applications recommended that public key infrastructure based authentication facility be made available for all banking transactions across the state and companies in a phased manner. So this is related to digital security infrastructure. So correct answer is option A. Next question: which of the following statements are correct regarding the general difference between plants and animals? So here we need to have an understanding about plant cell and animal cell. So first statement says plant cell have cellulose cell wall, true, while animal cells do not. Yes, this is right. Plant cells do not have plasma membrane unlike animal cells which do. So here we need to understand plant cells have a cell wall as well as cell membrane. In plants, the cell wall surrounds the cell membrane. This gives a plant cell its unique rectangular shape. Similarly, animals simply have a cell membrane. They do not have a cell wall. So statement 2 is wrong. Mature plant cells have one large vacuole while animal cells have many small vacuoles. Here we need to understand or have an understanding that plant cell have one large vacuole and animal cell have many small vacuoles in its cell. So since statement 2 is wrong, which will be eliminated, so the correct answer will be option C, that is 1 and 3 only. Next question is, which of the following are reasons or factors for the exposure of benzene pollution? So as we all know, the main source of benzene are vehicle exhaust, combustion process and from industry producing or using it. Benzene is a byproduct of combustion of tobacco in cigarettes, the resins and solvents used in varnish which are toxic. If ingested, many varnish products contain benzene. So benzene is also released naturally from volcanoes, forest fires, but the amount released are insignificant in comparison to those emitted by man-made activities. So with this, we can say that the right answer will be option D, that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Next question is, if another global financial crisis happens in the near future, which of the following actions or policies are most likely to give some immunity to India. So first statement is not depending on short-term borrowings. Second, opening up to foreign banks. Third, maintaining full account capital account convertibility. So here it's an analytical question. We need to understand short-term borrowings and foreign banks, how they are going to affect India's economic structure. So if you see that near future financial crisis of the past few years, we find that almost every situation, particularly in East Asia meltdowns, countries with short-term liabilities in the form of short-term foreign borrowings or foreign banks that exceeded reserves are 3 times more likely to experience a sudden and massive reversal in capital flows. So statement 1 is exactly right, because not depending on short-term borrowings, dependent on short-term borrowings in few of the countries had shown the country's economy to be volatile. So opening up more reserve foreign banks, no, it is not a feasible option. Maintaining full capital account convertibility, maintaining full capital account convertibility will lead to a free exchange of currency at lower rate and unrestricted movement of capital, hence not advisable in looming global crisis scenario. So statement 3 is also wrong. So the right answer will be 1 only, that is option A. Next question is again a question of analytical skills. If you withdraw 1 lakh rupees in cash from DD account, that is demand deposit account, at your bank, the immediate effect on aggregate money supply in the economy will be. So here we need to understand 2 things. One is it is a demand deposit account. It is not FD or it is not any RD account or anything. So it is a demand deposit account. So here we need to understand that the total value of the money in the country at a given point or a given time is called money supply. So suppose if you have 1 lakh rupees, this amount is obviously part of the money supply as it is immediately available for consumption. However, since the amount is saying that it is in a demand deposit account, still you have debit card also where you can take down money at any point of time. So the money supply should not be changed by these deposits, and vice versa when you withdraw it. So there will not be any change if you withdraw it from demand deposit account also. Even before, even if you does not withdraw also, if it is kept in the account, it will not have any impact on the money supply because it is in the DD account. So to leave it unchanged, that is option D will be right answer. Question is with respect to art and culture with reference to cultural history of India. Which one of the following is the correct description of the term paramitas? So here we need to have, they are noble qualities generally associated with the enlightenment. So they are from Bodhisattva paths. So right answer will be option C, perfections at who attained led to Bodhisattva path. Next question, in the context of Indian history, Rakma Bai case of 1884 revolved around. So here we need to have an understanding. The case is about her age of consent and restitution of conjugal rights. The case was decided by Justice Fine. Dr. Rakma Bai Bikaji was a pioneer in the field of medicine and women's rights in the 19th century. She is best known for her being one of the practicing women doctors in colonial India, as well as being involved in a landmark legal case involving her marriage as a child bride between 1884 and 1888. The publicity and debate generated by this case helped influence in the enactment of age of consent in 1891, which changed the age of consent from 10 to 12 years across British India. So with this information we can say that it was about age of consent, that is statement 2, restitution of conjugal rights. So it was not related to any of the women education rights. So correct answer is 2 and 3, that is option B. Next question is a modern history question. Indigo cultivation in India declined by beginning of 20th century. So what was the reason for decline in this? So we need to understand that it was beginning. Indigo revolt happened around 1869, somewhere around 1869. However, here we need to understand the question is being asked beginning of 20th century. With this understanding also we can easily eliminate the questions here. So because it is after somewhere around 1900, so we need to understand what was the reasons. So faced by high prices charged by British traders for indigo dye, German chemist and Adolf Bayer succeeded in synthesizing indigo. The synthetic dye was much cheaper and blow the final blow to a natural plant produced indigo dye and indigo croppers. So here the correct answer will be that it is unprofitability in the world market because of new inventions. So that is option B, which is right answer. Next question is a modern history based questions again. Wellesley established a Fort William College at Calcutta. What was the reason behind that? So here we need to have a very clear understanding. When this college was introduced, it was not related to any of the education systems in India, which British was ultimately not interested. So British had only a policy of negative attitude, which is exploitation of India. So probably on that knowledge we can easily eliminate the things also here. So based on that we can say the correct answer here will be the wanted to train civilians for the administrative purpose in India. So it was about a training program ultimately. So correct answer will be option D. Next question, again modern history based question with reference to history of India. Ulugan or Ulgulan or the great tumult is the description of which of the following events is the question being asked. So here it's an obvious question. It was the Sons of the Soil movement under Birsa Munda during 1899 and 1900 for Munda Raj. One of the best known tribal rebellions in Bihar known as Ulgulan, meaning great tumult, which was launched by Mundas under the leadership of Birsa Munda. Correct answer is option D, Birsa Munda revolt of 1899 and 1900. Next question is an ancient history based question with reference to scholars literatures of ancient India. Consider the following statements. Again here we need to have a clear understanding of the court poets or scholars of particular ruler or king. So Panini, the great Sanskrit grammarian, wrote Ashtadhyayi, which we all know, whereas Pushyamitra Sunga belonged to 2nd century BC, whereas Panini belonged to 520 to 460 BC. So ultimately, easily with this information or prior background, we can take down such statement. Second, then let us go to the next thing. Amarasimha was a Sanskrit grammarian and poet for ancient, said to have been one of the 9 gems that adorned the thrones of Vikramaditya. So Amarasimha does not belong to Harshavardhana. This is also wrong. Kalidasa is associated with Chandragupta II. Chandragupta II had the noted Sanskrit poet called Kalidasa as his court poet. So correct answer is 3 only, that is C. Next question is a science and technology based question in the context of recent advancements in human reproductive technology. Pro-nuclear transfer. So what is pro-nuclear transfer? The mother's egg is first fertilized with the father's sperm, producing a zygote. The pro-nuclei of the egg and sperms are then removed from the zygote and inserted into the donor egg that has been fertilized and has its own nucleus removed. So it is a prevention of mitochondrial disease in the offspring, which is the major intention, that is the major ideology behind. So again if you want to have a further knowledge which is with respect to fertilization of egg in vitro, which is also called in vitro fertilization, which is a complex series of procedures used to help with fertility. Then we have genetic modifications of sperms producing cells, then development of stem cells into the functional embryo. So if you had knew that pro-nuclear technology is with respect to mitochondrial disease prevention with respect to offsprings. So that is pro-nuclear technology, option D. Next question is again a science and technology based question. With the present state of development in artificial intelligence can effectively do which of the following? Artificial intelligence, again it's a futuristic technology, so while answering we need to be very careful here. So let us see the given statements here. First statement, bring down electricity consumption. Yes, artificial intelligence can do this. Second, creating meaningful short stories and songs. Yes, we can do that. Third, disease diagnosis, of course. Fourth, text to speech conversion, true. Fifth, wireless transmission of electrical energy. Yes, this can also be done. So if we have to go with the understanding of credible information, if you have to read some of the documents in order to answer this question, it makes that AI helps make energy industry more efficient and secure by analyzing and evaluate the data volumes. Second, by feeding a text recognition software, multiple sci-fi movie scripts have been made. Machine learning, particularly deep learning algorithms, have recently made huge advances in automatically diagnosing diseases. So third also is right. Text to speech conversion we have used in all our mobile phones, which we can easily say that. Wireless transmission of electrical energy, if we have confusions here. AI, however, without reliable Wi-Fi high speed power in the appropriate locations within a factory or warehouse, the increased use of AI in industry has increased. So wireless technology is necessary. Without wireless technology, however, there are few shortcomings which are there in transmission of electrical energy, artificial intelligence. So correct answer will be all the 5 above, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Next question is a science and technology based question with reference to visible light communication technology. Which of the following statements are correct? So VLC uses electromagnetic spectrum wavelength 375 to 780 nanometer. Yes, it is a data communication variant which uses light between 400 to 800 terahertz. So statement 1 is right. VLC is known for long range optical wireless communication. No, it is not long range, it is medium range, subset of medium range. So statement 2 is wrong, 1 being right. VLC can transmit large amount of data faster than Bluetooth. Yes, this is obviously true. VLC has no electromagnetic interference. Here also few confusions might be there. So here we need to understand that VLC was developed over RF radio frequency transmitters only for interference or non-interference of electromagnetic interference radiations. So statement 4 is right. So correct answer will be 1, 3 and 4, that is option C. Next question is with reference to blockchain technology. Again, as I said, it is a futuristic technology. We need to be very careful because many a times futuristic technology doesn't mean all the above statements are right. So let us see the given statements. It is a public ledger that can everyone inspect but with no single user's control. As we all know, blockchain technology was built on the idea of transparency without any interferences or without any chances of playing around. So blockchain technology, it's a form of ledger again, which has series of blocks which can translate details recorded into suitable authentication and verification. So each party on a blockchain has access to entire database and complete history. However, no single party has controls data over the information. So statement 1 is right. The structure and design of blockchain is such that all data in it are cryptocurrency only. Blockchain technology is not about cryptocurrency only. Cryptocurrency is just a medium. So blockchain technology, it was linked with cryptocurrency initially. However, there has been widespread applications which can be used in banking. There are applications or thoughts going over to be used in election process also. So statement 2 is wrong. Applications that depend on basic feature of blockchain technology can be developed without anybody's permission. So applications can be added to the network without the approval or trust of others. So statement 3 is also right. So correct answer being 1 and 3 only, that is D is the right answer. Next question is a modern history based question. Here we need to have a factual understanding of what these terms mean. Aurang, Banyan, Mirzadar. So it is with reference to Indian history. Consider the following periods which are correctly matched. Aurang, it was an in charge of Treasury State of India. No, he was not an in charge. It's a depot for manufacturing goods and localized manufacturing areas. So first statement is wrong. So A and D are gone. We are left with B and C. So let us see third one. Mirzadar, designated revenue payer to the state. Yes, it was during Rayatwari system when it was in operational. So Mirzadar is right. So Banyan, he was not an Indian agent of East India Company. So the correct answer is option C, that is 3 only. Next question is a medieval history based question with reference to religious histories of India. Consider the following statements. So Thaviradins, that is Theravadins, were conservative sections and opposed change. They came close to Hinayana Buddhism. So these were Theravadins which were related to Hinayana, not Mahayana. So one is wrong. Automatically A and D are gone. Left with 2 and 3. Let us see. Lokatarvadin sect was an offshoot of Mahasangika sect of Buddhism. So here we need to understand that Lokottaravada was a subgroup which emerged from Mahasangika. So 2 is right. So automatically 2 and 3 will be right only. However, let us see. The deification of Buddha by Mahasangikas fostered Mahayana Buddhism. This is also true. So correct answer B. Next question is a modern history based question. Which of the following statements correctly explains the impact in industrial revolution on India during first half of 19th century? So if we go through the statements, it is speaking about first half of in 19th century. So machines were introduced in the Indian textile industry in large numbers. See, British being an exploitative company, they will never ever try to make India an industrialized hub. So this is not at all possible. Next, railway lines were laid in many parts of the country. So here we are speaking about first half. As we all know, railways were introduced in the year 1853. So this cannot be the answer also. B and C gone. Heavy duties were imposed on the imports of British manufacturers. As we all know that India was taken as a playground of raw materials which were transported to Britain in order to get them or get back manufactured products. So there, when they are getting British products in the form of imports, they cannot import duties because that will negate the trade of British India only. So this is also wrong. Correct answer will be option A, that is Indian handicrafts were ruined. Next question is an ancient history based questions. Consider the following events in the history of India. It is a chronological order which we have to find out. So rise of Pratiharas under King Bhoja. Here we need to understand Pratiharas came to prominence during 1836 to 1885 CE. So establishment of Cholas, if you see here 907 to 935 CE. Then Palas rose under Gopala during the year 750 to 770 CE. Establishment of Pallava dynasty again under Mahendravarman I, it was 600 to 630 CE. So based on this info, we can come to the conclusion that is 2 first, then 4, then 1, and then 3. Correct answer will be option C, that is 2, 4, 1, 3. Next question is again an ancient history based question. Which of the following phrases defines the nature of hundi, generally referred to in the source of Porsh-Gupta period? So here we need to understand it was a system of bills of exchange quite popular in medieval times and also under European companies. So hundi was related to bills of exchange, option C, that is right. Next is again a modern history based question with reference to book Deshar Katha written by Sakram Ganesh Devsagar during freedom struggle. Consider the following statements. Here 3 statements are given with respect to this book. It warned against a colonial state's hypnotic conquest of the mind. It inspired the performance of Swadeshi street plays and the folk songs. The use of Desh by Deuskar was in specific context of region of Bengal. So if you have gone through these things, so all the statements are right here which were related to this book. So correct answer is 1, 2 and 3. Next is again a modern history based question. The Gandhi-Irwin Pact included which of the following? So here we have an understanding that the pact was signed between Gandhi on behalf of Congress and Lord Irwin on behalf of the government. So the terms of agreement which included immediate release of all political prisoners not convicted by violence, remission of all fines, return of confiscated lands, lenient treatment for the government employees. The government also connected with the right to make salt for consumption to villages along the coast and right to peaceful and non-aggressive picketing. So based on this information, invitation to Gandhi, it was an invitation to Congress to participate in the second roundtable conference, as you well know. So first statement is right. Withdrawal of ordinances promulgated in connection with civil disobedience movement. Yes. Acceptance of Gandhiji's suggestion for inquiry into police excesses. So this is not right. So correct answer, release of only those prisoners who were not charged with violence. Yes, this is also right. 1, 2 and 4 being right. Correct answer is option B. Next question is again a modern history based question. The Vitala Vidyasansak, the first monthly journal to have the untouchable people as its target audience, was published by whom? So in 1888 it was Valgankar began publishing this monthly journal which was related to untouchable people. So correct answer is option A, Gopal Baba Valgankar. Next is again an ancient history based question with reference to history of India. The term Kulyavapa and Dronavapa, what were these terms related to? So these were related to land measurement systems under Guptas. So the correct answer is measurement of land. Next question is an ancient history based question. Who among the following rulers advised his subjects through this inscription? Whosoever praises his religious sect or blames other sects out of excessive devotion to his own sect with the view of glorifying his own sect, he rather injures his own sect very severely. So these were the words of King Ashoka while explaining his concept of dharma. So Ashoka, Dhamma's principle which he believed upon was based on tolerance. So it was right answer, option A, King Ashoka. Next question, a parliamentary system is a government in which of the following? Here again there are ambiguities, however. So the correct answer, parliamentary form of government is dependent on the principle that executive is responsible to the legislature. So the correct answer is option B, government is responsible to the parliament and can be removed by it. Next question, again polity based question. Which part of the constitution declares ideal of welfare state? If we have gone through DPSP, it's a provision which entails ideal of welfare state. The correct answer is option A. Next question, consider the following statements. Constitution of India defines its basic structure in terms of federalism, secularism, fundamental rights and democracy. Here the term defines in constitution we nowhere find basic structure term. So it was an evolution of Supreme Court's understanding in judicial review cases. So statement 1 is wrong. Next question, the Constitution of India provides for judicial review. So it is saying not define, it is again provides for safeguards the citizens' liberties and to preserve the ideals on which constitution is based upon. So statement 2 is right. Correct answer is B, that is 2 only. Next question, one common agreement between Gandhiji and Marxism. So Gandhiji was never against private property. He differed with Marx in class struggle, abolition of private property and economic determinism. Gandhiji did talk about stateless society. So there were differences between Gandhiji and Marx with respect to economic determinism, class struggle, abolition of private property. So the correct answer for this is stateless society, the final goal, that is option A. Next question, in the context of India, which one of the following is the characteristics appropriate for bureaucracy? Even though bureaucracy ensures political stability, the most appropriate characteristics is implementation of public policy, that is option D, which is the right answer. The preamble to the Constitution of India. Here we need to have an understanding that in Keshavananda Bharati case and LIC case of Supreme Court opined that preamble is a part of Constitution, and the preamble is neither a source of power to legislature nor a prohibition upon the powers of legislature, and secondly it is non-justifiable, so its provisions are not enforceable in course of law. So here the right answer will be is a part of Constitution but has no legal effect independently of others, that is option D. Next question, gold tranche or reserve tranche refers to. Reserve tranche is a component of member countries' quota with IMF, that is in the form of gold or foreign currency. For any member country, out of the total quotas, 25% should be paid in the form of foreign currency or gold. So again, right answer is a credit system guaranteed by IMF to its members, option D. Next question, with reference to provisions contained in part 4 of the Constitution of India. Part 4 is with respect to DPSP. So DPSP, they shall be enforceable by courts. No, they are not legally justifiable. They shall not be enforceable by any court. So this is right. The principle laid down in the part are to influence making of laws by the state. True. So 2 and 3 being right, correct answer is option D. Next question, let us see. Consider the following statements. According to the Constitution of India, a person who is eligible to vote can be made a minister in a state for 6 months, even if he or she is not a member of legislature of that state. Here we need to have an understanding about Article 173 of the Constitution, which states in order to become a member of state legislative assembly, he should not be less than 25 years of age, and in order to become a member of legislative council, he should not be less than 30 years of age. So what is the eligibility to vote in India? That is 18 years. So the person who is eligible to vote cannot be made as a member or minister of legislative state. So statement 1 is wrong. According to Representation of People's Act 1951, a person convicted of criminal offences and sentenced to imprisonment for 5 years is permanently disqualified. So it is not possible. He cannot be permanently disqualified. So it is temporarily from contesting an election even after this. So statement 2 is also wrong. So correct answer is neither 1 or 2. Next question, consider the following statements. The President of India can summon a session of Parliament at such place as he thinks fit. Article 85 says about this. So correct answer is 1 is right. Next question, the Constitution of India provides for 3 sessions of the Parliament in a year, but it is not mandatory to conduct all the 3 sessions. Constitution of India does not provide for any requirement of 3 sessions in a year. It just says that the assembly should happen at least in 6 months duration period. So this is wrong. There is no minimum number of days that Parliament is required to meet in a year. So there is no minimum number of years. There is no limitation. So 3 is also right. 1 and 3 being right. Correct answer is option C. Next question, consider the following statements. Aadhaar metadata cannot be stored for more than 3 months. No, this is wrong, because Aadhaar metadata can be stored for at least 6 months duration of time, thereafter archived for a period of 5 years. State cannot enter into any contract with private corporations for sharing of Aadhaar data. Yes, in Putswamy case, it was made that Aadhaar cannot be shared with any private corporations. So this is right. Aadhaar is a mandatory for obtaining insurance product. Aadhaar is never mandatory for any insurance products. So this is wrong. Aadhaar is mandatory for getting benefits funded out of Consolidated Fund of India. So here we need to understand that Aadhaar is mandatory for getting funded. So if you go through the elimination method also, see, as 1 and 3 are exactly right, or we have genuine information. So 1 is wrong, this is also wrong. So your 2 being right, the correct answer has to be 2 and 4. So right answer is option B. So this question has very basic understanding. Rajya Sabha has equal powers with Lok Sabha in matters of amending the constitution. That is option B being the right answer here. Next question is with reference to funds under MP-led. Which of the following statements are correct? MP-led funds must be used to create durable assets like physical infrastructure, health and education. Yes, this is right. A specified amount of each MP's fund must be benefited to SC/ST population. True, this is also right. MP-led funds sanctioned early basis and unused funds cannot be carried forward to the next year. So MP-led fund is a non-lapsable fund, so it can be carried forward. So statement 3 is wrong. The district authority must inspect at least 10% of all the works under implementation every year. So in MP-led fund guidelines, district authority would be responsible for the overall coordination and supervision of the works under the scheme of district level and inspect at least 10% of works under implementation every year. So 1, 2 and 4 being right, correct answer is option D. Next question is which one of the following categories of fundamental rights incorporates protection against untouchability form of discrimination. So here we have understanding equality, which entails discrimination against untouchability also. So correct answer is right to equality, option D. Next question, in India, separation of judiciary from executive is enjoyed in. So here article 50, which says separate the judiciary from executive in public service of the state. So the correct answer is DPSP, option B. Next question, along with the budget, the finance minister also places other document before the parliament which include macroeconomic framework statement. The aforesaid document is presented because this is mandated by section 3 subclause 5 of Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, which instructs the government to make an assessment of growth prospects and present a macroeconomic framework statement. So the correct answer is option D, provision of Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003. Next question, constitutional government by definition, what does it speaks about? So here we need to understand that constitutional government is defined by the existence of constitution, which may be a legal instrument or merely a set of fixed norms or principles generally accepted as the fundamental law that effectively controls the exercise of political power. In others, it is a limited government. So the correct answer is option D. Constitutional government speaks about limited government. Next question, other than the fundamental rights, which of the following parts of Constitution of India reflect or reflects the principles and provisions of Universal Declaration of Human Rights? Here we need to understand preamble contains the right to guarantee equality, justice and liberty, which are part of Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, is based on those principles. DPSP again encourages state to enforce socio-economic rights, again which are related to human rights. According to Article 29 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, everyone has duties to community in which alone the free and full development of personality is possible, which is again related to fundamental duties. So the correct answer is option D, 1, 2 and 3. Next question, in India, Legal Service Authority provides free legal services to which of the following type of citizens? So here we need to understand that as per the income ceiling limit prescribed by section 12 of National Legal Service Act 1987, members of OBC with annual income less than 3 lakh are eligible for free legal aid, and all senior citizens. So less than 3 lakh and all senior citizens will be the right answer. So the correct answer is 3 and 4, that is option B. So last question of the day, consider the following pair of international agreements or set up with respect to following subjects being given. Alma-Ata Declaration, it was related to primary health care, which happened in 1978, that was in Kazakhstan. It was to promote and protect the health of all the people. So right. Hague Convention, it was related to international child abduction prevention. It was not related to CBD, biological or chemical weapons. So wrong. Talanoa Dialogue, it was related to global climate change because it was happened in Fiji in 2018. It was part of UN climate talks to help to design a process to implement and enhance nationally determined contributions. Next, Under 2 coalition is a coalition of sub-national governments that aims to achieve greenhouse emission mitigation. It was not related to child rights. So correct answer is 1 and 3, that is option C. Thank you everyone. So this was about today's explanation session of UPSC Prelims 2020. So at the end of the day, again, there might be few students who might be thinking they could have performed well. So for all of them, this is a learning about UPSC, how to move forward with your examination preparation. So don't lose your hope. Start doing, kickstart your energy right from the beginning and evolve your strategy to set through the UPSC standards or requirement of the UPSC. For the students who have done well, all the best for your mains. So do not waste any time which you have got, which is very less already. So for that, as I was telling in the initial part of the video, where we are speaking about Mains Gurukul program exclusively by Dr. Rambabu sir, in order to help the students to empower themselves in an environment where they feel safe, environment where they will be given with required resources in order to empower themselves as per the requirement of UPSC again, so that you can move forward strongly and hit hard for the upcoming mains examination. For any of the queries, feel free to contact any of our branch in Bangalore and Hyderabad. So this was all about today's session. Thank you everyone. All the best. Take care.